So we've been surveying the M&A activity in mainland China in the first 6 months of 2016 and then comparing that to the previous period. So the total amount of China M&A was 412 billion in that 6-month period. That is a record. It's up 8% in value terms, 13% in terms of the number of transactions. But if you look at what's really driving that, what's behind those numbers, we have very strong activity from financial buyers and private equities, which I'll talk about in a moment. But we also have an extremely strong first half year for China outbound. The China outbound activity is more than 4 times the previous record, which was set in the previous 6-month period. So there's a real step up in China outbound M&A. And if you look at some of those transactions that are happening, of course, the big headline transaction is the ChemChina Syngenta deal. That was $43 billion. That by itself, in fact, is bigger than all of the deals put together in the previous 6-month period. But even if you take that out, you've seen a tripling in the value of China outbound M&A. So that's a real driver of some of the numbers that we're seeing coming through in that first 6-month period. You've asked me a question around PE funds, but I'd like to answer the question talking about actually sort of financial buyers, which is a bit broader than just private equity. And one of the real, I think, important and big developments in China at the moment is really this almost a wall of money, a wall of capital that is becoming available from alternative financial investors. So we're talking about the direct investment arms of private companies, of state-owned enterprises. We're talking about government funds. We're talking about the investment platforms of high net worth individuals. We're talking about financial institutions, in particular the insurance companies. And these guys have huge amounts of capital to deploy and are under pressure to deploy that capital. So again, if you look at the financial buyer activity in China, very strong growth. Actually, we saw it in the previous 6-month period, continuing into 2016. Very strong participation in the outbound activity. So you're seeing financial buyers now, I think we're about 20% of all of the outbound activity, which is by far and away the highest that it's ever been. So there's a huge amount of money out there. And in fact, that is providing some competition for traditional private equity. So very, very active, a lot of new players involved, a big wall of money and a lot of activity. Well, if you look at 2016 as a whole, we're forecasting double-digit growth compared to 2015. So another record year for China M&A. If you look at what's driving that, we've talked about financial buyer activity. We've talked about the outbound, very, very strong indeed. And I think an important point to make is, in particular, if you look at that outbound activity, we've seen it 4x compared to the previous half year. We don't think that is a spike. We don't think that's an up and a down. We think that's a step to the next level, and that the outbound will continue to grow there. So very, very robust activity, lots of drivers pushing this thing forward, and we expect the growth to continue.